What if I told you that the world's indifference toward you isn't a curse, but a gift? What if the fact that nobody cares about you is the very thing that sets you free? It sounds harsh, even cruel, but hear me out. In a world obsessed with validation, likes, follows, and applause, we've become slaves to the opinions of others. We crave recognition, approval, and acceptance. But what if the lack of it is the key to your liberation? What if the truth that nobody cares about you is the best news you'll ever hear? Let me show you why. 1. The illusion of being the center of the world. Have you ever felt like the world revolves around you? That your struggles, your triumphs, and your story are the axis upon which everything else turns? This illusion, this belief that we are the center of the universe, is as old as humanity itself. Yet, history and scripture alike remind us that this perspective is not only flawed but dangerously limiting. Consider the words of Psalm 8-7-3-4. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? This poetic reflection humbles us, reminding us of our smallness in the grand tapestry of creation. How can we, mere specks in the cosmos, dare to believe that everything revolves around us? History, too, teaches us this lesson. The ancient Greeks believed Earth was the center of the universe, a notion shattered by Copernicus and Galileo. Their discoveries revolutionized our understanding, showing that we are not the center, but part of something infinitely greater. Isn't it liberating to realize that the weight of the world doesn't rest solely on your shoulders? But here's the paradox. While we are not the center, we are still profoundly significant. Each of us plays a unique role in the unfolding story of humanity. The illusion of centrality distracts us from this truth, trapping us in a cycle of self-absorption and anxiety. What if, instead of striving to be the center, we embraced our place as vital threads in a larger, more beautiful design? Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to control everything and instead trusted in the greater plan? What if your purpose is not to be the star of the show, but to contribute your unique light to the collective brilliance of humanity? The illusion of being the center of the world is a heavy burden to bear. Let it go. Embrace your smallness, and in doing so, discover the freedom and joy of being part of something infinitely greater than yourself. 2. The freedom of anonymity. What if your greatest impact could come from stepping out of the spotlight? What if the absence of your name, your face, or your recognition could amplify your influence in ways you never imagined? This is the paradox of anonymity, a freedom that liberates you from the chains of ego and allows your actions to speak louder than your identity. In a world obsessed with fame and validation, anonymity is a radical act of humility and purpose. History is filled with anonymous heroes whose names we may never know, but whose legacies endure. Consider the early Christians who risked their lives to spread the gospel in the face of persecution. Many of their names are lost to time, but their courage laid the foundation for a faith that would change the world. Hebrews 11:38 speaks of such unsung heroes. The world was not worthy of them. They did not seek recognition, they sought transformation. What could you accomplish if you were free from the need for credit or applause? Even in the secular realm, anonymity has been a powerful tool for change. The Federalist Papers, a series of essays advocating for the ratification of the U.S. Constitution, were written under the pseudonym Publius by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. Their decision to remain anonymous allowed their ideas to take center stage, unclouded by personal biases or political rivalries. Could it be that removing the focus from the individual allows the message to shine brighter? But anonymity is not just for grand historical moments. It is a daily choice. It is the teacher who stays late to help a struggling student without seeking praise. It is the neighbor who shovels snow from a stranger's driveway before dawn. It is the donor who gives generously without attaching their name to a plaque. These acts, though unseen, ripple through lives and communities in profound ways. As Matthew 6:7-3-4 reminds us, "But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." What might you achieve if your focus shifted from being seen to simply doing good? Anonymity also offers a unique freedom to experiment, to fail, and to grow without fear of judgment. When no one is watching, you are free to take risks, to innovate, and to push boundaries. Think of the countless inventors, artists, and writers who created masterpieces in obscurity before the world took notice. What could you create if you were unshackled from the fear of failure or criticism? So, I challenge you. How can you embrace the freedom of anonymity today? How can your actions, rather than your identity, become your legacy? Remember, the most powerful changes often come from the quietest places. Will you dare to step into the shadows, not for obscurity, but for impact? The world may never know your name, but it will feel your presence, and that is the true power of anonymity. 3. The power of unnoticed growth. In a world obsessed with instant results and visible success, we often overlook the profound power of unnoticed growth. Have you ever stopped to marvel at the oak tree, towering and majestic, and wondered how it began as a tiny, insignificant acorn buried in the soil? Its journey was silent, unseen, and gradual, yet it became a symbol of strength and resilience. Why then do we dismiss the quiet, incremental progress in our own lives? The Bible in Mark 4:26-29 offers a profound parable. The kingdom of God is as if a man should scatter seed on the ground. He sleeps and rises night and day, and the seed sprouts and grows. He knows not how. This passage reminds us that growth often happens in ways we cannot see or fully understand. It is a process that requires patience, faith, and trust in the unseen. Are we willing to embrace this truth, even when our efforts seem invisible to the world? History is filled with stories of unnoticed growth leading to extraordinary outcomes. Consider the life of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison, seemingly forgotten by the world. Yet, during those years of isolation, he grew, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. His quiet endurance and unwavering commitment to justice eventually transformed not only his life, but an entire nation. What if Mandela had given up during those unseen years, believing his growth was insignificant? Unnoticed growth is not a sign of failure, but a testament to perseverance. It is the small, daily choices, the books we read, the habits we build, the kindness we show, that shape our character and destiny. Why do we undervalue these moments, chasing instead the spotlight of immediate recognition? True growth is often hidden, like roots digging deep into the earth, preparing us to withstand the storms of life. So, I ask you, what unseen growth is happening in your life right now? Are you willing to trust the process, even when no one applauds your efforts? Remember, the most powerful transformations often occur in the shadows. Embrace the silence, nurture the unseen, and know that every small step is leading you toward a future of unimaginable strength and beauty. The world may not notice, but your growth is changing everything. 4. The gift of authenticity. In a world that constantly pressures us to conform, to fit into molds crafted by society's expectations, have you ever stopped to ask, what does it mean to be truly authentic? Authenticity is not just a buzzword, it is a radical act of courage, a gift we give to ourselves and to the world. The Bible reminds us in Psalm 139:14, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful." I know that full well. But if we are so wonderfully made, why do we so often hide behind masks, afraid to show the world who we truly are? History is filled with individuals who dared to embrace their authenticity and changed the world because of it. Take, for example, the story of Rosa Parks. In 1955, she refused to give up her seat on a bus, not because she sought fame or recognition, but because she stayed true to her convictions. Her authenticity sparked a movement that transformed a nation. What could happen if you and I had the courage to live with that same level of authenticity? What walls of injustice, fear, or prejudice might come crashing down if we dared to be real? Authenticity is not about perfection. It is about embracing your flaws, your struggles, and your unique story. It is about standing firm in your identity, even when the world tries to tell you to be someone else. Galatians 1:10 challenges us, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? When we live to please others, we lose ourselves. But when we live authentically, we honor the God who created us and the purpose He has placed within us. So I ask you, what masks are you wearing today? Are you hiding behind a facade of perfection, afraid to show your vulnerabilities? Are you silencing your true voice to fit in? Remember, authenticity is not just a gift to yourself, it is a gift to those around you. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. You create a space where people feel seen, valued, and loved for who they truly are. The gift of authenticity is a call to live boldly, to embrace your true self, and to trust that you are enough, just as you are. It is a reminder that your story, with all its imperfections, is a masterpiece in the making. So, take off the mask, step into the light, and let the world see the real, unfiltered, wonderfully made you. For in your authenticity, you will find not only freedom but also the power to inspire others to do the same. 5. The opportunity to care for others. In a world that often glorifies self-sufficiency and individualism, the act of caring for others stands as a radical and transformative act of love. But why does this matter? Why should we, in our busy lives, take the time to extend compassion to those around us? The answer lies in the very fabric of our humanity and the divine mandate to love one another. The Bible, in Galatians 6:2, commands us to carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. This is not a suggestion, it is a calling. When we care for others, we embody the love of Christ and participate in something far greater than ourselves. But let's pause and ask, how often do we truly see the burdens others carry? How often do we step out of our comfort zones to lighten their load? History is replete with examples of how caring for others has changed the course of lives and nations. Consider the story of Florence Nightingale, the pioneer of modern nursing. During the Crimean War, she didn't just tend to the physical wounds of soldiers, she brought hope and dignity to those who had been forgotten. Her small acts of care revolutionized healthcare and inspired generations to serve. What if she had turned away, thinking her efforts were too small to matter? Would the world of medicine be the same? Caring for others is not just about grand gestures, it's about the daily, intentional acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. It's the meal prepared for a grieving neighbor, the listening ear offered to a struggling friend, or the hand extended to someone in need. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are the threads that weave the tapestry of a compassionate society. So, I ask you, what kind of world do you want to live in? One where everyone is too busy to care, or one where love and compassion are the guiding principles? The opportunity to care for others is not a burden, it is a privilege. It is a chance to reflect the heart of God and to make a tangible difference in someone's life. Let us not underestimate the power of caring. In a world that often feels cold and disconnected, your compassion can be the warmth that reignites hope. Take the opportunity to care, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Because in caring for others, we find the true essence of what it means to be human. The world's indifference toward you isn't a curse. It's a gift. It's an invitation to live authentically, grow quietly, and care deeply. It's a reminder that your worth isn't determined by the opinions of others, but by the unconditional love of God. So, what will you do with this freedom? Will you continue to chase the fleeting approval of people, or will you embrace the liberating truth that nobody cares about you? And that's okay. Stop living for the crowd. Start living for the call. The world may not care about you, but God does. And that's all that matters. Take a step today toward the life you were meant to live, unnoticed by the world, but fully known and loved by the one who created you.